What is up, guys? It's Brillymister here, and welcome to my high-level money-making guide with Muspahs. In today's video, I will show you how to effectively kill Muspahs for great GP per hour and decent XP an hour as well. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell icon so you'll always be notified of any future guides and future uploads. So without further ado, let's get into the guide. So the requirements for this method are 90 plus in magic and defense, as this will just allow you to survive without having to constantly bank to pick up more food. 92 prayer is required for soul split, and this is an absolute must for this method as you take a lot of damage and you'll really struggle to survive without it, and you can pretty much sustain yourself just on soul split. 95 prayer is beneficial as it allows you to use the torment curse, which will give you some extra DPS, but obviously you use more prayer potions when you're doing it. 96 herb lore for overloads, however I suggest that you actually use holy overloads here as it will just save you a bit of inventory space as you won't need to bring prayer renewals as well. 68 summoning isn't that much of an important requirement, but I personally choose to use a bunyip here as the pouches are dropped by Muspahs, so you don't really ever have to buy pouches, and it just gives you a little bit of extra AFK healing, which just makes it easier to survive and makes this method just that little bit more AFK. Desert Treasure is needed as ancient magics all hit double on the Muspahs, so it will improve your kill speed and make it a lot easier to survive. And Fate of the Gods is the last requirement, and that is just required to actually access and kill the Muspahs. The drops and XP rate here are averaged out from the time that I've been testing this method, which was around 8 hours, so it should be fairly accurate as to what you can expect on an average hour. Obviously some hours will be more, some hours could be less. So I averaged 4.8 mil an hour in raw drops, and to get that I used around 50 springs and 50 magic note papers an hour, along with 150k worth of various potions like overloads and prayer potions. So this leaves our total profit per hour as 4.3 mil, which is pretty good really for a Semi AFK method. I also averaged 440k magic XP an hour and 130k hit points XP an hour. So this is a pretty good all-round method for making money and gaining XP, and it is relatively AFK as well, which is quite good. So for your inventory setup, you want to take a couple of holy overloads, just enough to last a 1 hour trip. 6 prayer flasks is enough prayer to last the whole hour if you either use the vampirism aura and then just use soul split, which is easily enough to keep you alive, or you use the penance aura and then you can use soul split and torment and you pretty much stay on full prayer the whole time, and that also gives you enough healing to survive. I take a spare bunyip pouch as one doesn't quite last the whole hour. This isn't always necessary as you'll usually get at least 1 pouch drop during the hour. Emergency food along with an enhanced Excalibur if your prayer drops or you get on low hit points, just heal you back up. Magic note paper just so you can note all of the drops because you can't out them if you're on the ancient mage book. And finally you just want to take one of each of the notable and stackable drops, so it just helps keep your inventory nice and tidy and not messy basically. So for your equipment, you want to wear at least tier 80 armour. I use Virtus mask and boots, and then Anima Core for the body and legs, and this is just to minimise on the repair and the divine charge cost. However, if you've only got Virtus, that'll work fine, and you can also get away with subjugation armour. However, you will have to pay a little bit more attention as you do take a bit more damage. I use a Blood Fury necklace as it gives you a nice bit of passive healing. The blood necklace of the mage one as well will work probably slightly better, and Amulet of Souls will work just as well, but it's an increased cost for the Amulet of Souls. Cinderbane gloves are, as always, the best in slot for anything that you can poison. However, if you don't have Cinderbanes for any reason, then you can always swap them out for Virtus or Subjugation gloves, and it will be quite a small difference. I take a Luck of the Dwarves as it gives you higher chance of rare drop table loot. I've had a decent amount of rare drop table loot in the time that I've been here testing. Unfortunately not got a Hazelmere Signet ring yet, but you know, we'll keep trying. Any other ring though will work pretty much fine. You could use a 6 age circuit and that will give you a nice easy teleport to get there as well. Noxious Staff is definitely the weapon that I would recommend. However, if you can't afford a Noxious Staff, then the tier 87 Obliteration Staff is a great cheaper alternative. You could also get away with a Chaotic Staff or like an Attuned Crystal Staff, but the more you downgrade the gear, the less AFK this method is going to be. You also want to take a rune pouch with your spell runes in it. I use Bloodburst as it only requires death runes, which are much cheaper than blood runes, and I don't think that using Barrage is really worth the extra cost. You don't need it here. Spring Cleaner is always breaks down all your rune salvage drops, and it generally accounts for a large portion of your overall GP made here. With the aura, I have been cycling through Vampirism, Dark Magic and Penance. They each have a different benefit, but all of them make this method very easy to AFK. So the last thing that we need to tell you before you can go and start testing this method is how to get there. So the easiest way to get there is if you have a 6-age circuit, you can just teleport straight to the world gate and enter the cradle from there. However, another very easy method to do it is lodestone to the Eagle's Peak lodestone, and then just run south to the world gate and enter the cradle again as you did before. So for the actual method that you use to kill the Muspahs, once you've entered the cradle, all you have to do is just stand in the middle of the room, activate your Soul Split Curse and Torment or Affliction if you do have the tier 99 prayers, and the Muspahs will all constantly be auto-aggressive on you unless you take a Shard of Zaros, but you want to leave that out as they're aggressive on you. I personally use Blood Burst as my active spell as it adds a bit more passive healing over using Ice Burst, but I don't think that it is warranted to use the extra money for blood runes on having a barrage spell. You want to make sure that you have Revolution ++ active and put Sunshine, Wild Magic and Asphyxiate as your first 3 abilities. This way they get prioritised over using any of the other abilities whenever they're available, and it will maximise your DPS, which obviously the more DPS you do, the more you heal with Soul Split. After that you just want to add in all of your high damaging basic abilities along with Sacrifice, as that gives you a little bit more healing. And then after that, all you've got to do is make sure you keep your prayer points up and loot everything that is dropped every couple of minutes. Unfortunately, they don't all spawn as melee ones, they do have range and mage ones, which means that your loot can be spread out, which makes it a little bit annoying to go and loot stuff and you might miss the occasional drop. But other than that, this is a very chilled out AFK money making method. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy this guide or found it useful, then don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell icon so you never miss out on any future guides or content. Don't forget to hit the like button and leave any questions in the comments section below. See ya!